back with Marina Shepelsky. We're back for another session. And guys, we have to apologize. Last week we had a slight technological difficulty. Marina, you know it wasn't us. Just as we got talking about propaganda from the Russian side, Ukrainian side, American propaganda, right away we got cut off. We don't know what happened. Was it hackers? Was it bombing by Russians of Restream? Because Restream, the software we use, is based in Ukraine. We don't know. But we apologize. We're back. So we want to recap our last week's topic, which was politics. Politics in bed is a good idea or not? And then we're going to come back to you after that with a very spicy, hot, sexy topic, open relationships. But let's start with topics. Yeah, Marina, you want to do first open relationships?
No, let's finish from last week real quick.
Okay.
To summarize, right? Politics are important, and they're important to people as individuals. But if you're married, if this is a really serious relationship, you should figure out rules of how to deal with it. You can agree to disagree. People don't any longer know how to do that. They have stopped understanding how to agree to disagree in a marriage, and parents with kids. Learn to agree to disagree, learn to discuss without getting personal, right? You don't have to say you were stupid for being a Trump supporter. You could say, I really don't like Trump and his politics because of this, this, and that. Even psychologists teach you to do that anyway when you're fighting. Like, right, when you're having a fight, you shouldn't say you were dumb, you're stupid, things like that. You should say, I'm upset because of this. Or
basically, don't make it personal. Argue the
position. Don't make it personal. Try to not talk about it at all if you can avoid it. If you want to have an intellectual discussion, don't get personal. Try to understand why you were there in the first place, right? You were there because you were married and you're having a nice discussion with your partner, right? Hopefully with your favorite person. So if you can't respect their opinion without, calling them names, then you have some serious relationship problems, period.
Yeah, Marina, you bring up a very good point. I've heard of couples that are getting divorced, stopping talking to each other. I even heard of friends and family, like a son, stopped talking to his mother over political position, over Russia versus Ukraine, because the guy is here, the mother's in Russia, she has her own thoughts that are pro-Russian, and they stop talking to each other, period. So that is not right. What I think you should do is you should just agree to avoid that topic. Talk about something else.
Yeah, and especially if you're both now living in America, both spouses, look, my husband is from Russia, I'm from Ukraine. We never really discuss it. If we discuss it, we talk about it like intellectually. Nobody's going to get personal. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And my kids were saying to me, we had lunch today, and they said, Grandma says that she hates all Russians because we're from Ukraine. And she goes, do you? I said, no, I do not. This is ridiculous. I said, tell Grandma when you talk to her, this is ridiculous. I don't think I'm going to take a whole country and cancel them because of something their president decided to do. The people didn't really participate in that decision. Nobody asked them. Like a third of Russia has relatives from Ukraine and has like mothers and fathers and grandparents from Ukraine. So let's move past this. It shouldn't be personal. Let those countries fight it out. We live in America. We have our own problems, right? We have shootings in schools. We have medical care that's, like the level is high, but, it's inaccessible for many people because it's so expensive, because the insurances are so bad and inexpensive. Because sometimes we have non-doctors making medical decisions for people when they need a surgery. It's the person in the insurance company who decides whether they're going to pay for it or not. So let's focus on that. Let Russia and Ukraine worry about their own problems.
That's a great advice, Marina. And I want to sum it up with something that I heard. That's a lesson from prison. A lesson from prison is, if you want to stay alive in prison, you stay away from politics, stay away from religion discussions, and stay away from your case. Now, in our situation, it's not about the case, it's about politics and religion. So my advice is, if you see you're getting on somebody's nerves, especially who's your significant other, stay away from those politics, from those topics, and talk about something else. Because as we discussed last time, before we got cut off, politicians come and go. And I think, Marina, you made this great point.
Yeah.
Politicians come and go, okay? They change every 4 years. And I said wars get settled all the time. People fight, countries fight, and then they come to an agreement. Then there's a peace period. So that's cyclical. But your marriage, your relationship, that's there for long term. So concentrate on that, on long term, and not about politics. Because believe me, those politicians that you're arguing about, they don't care about you the way you care about them.
Of course. Of course. I agree. And I don't think that you need to bring that kind of stuff home with you in bed.
Exactly. Yep. Okay, now let's talk about bringing things, objects, and people into bed. Okay. And that's going to lead us to next topic. It's a great segue, which is open relationships. Okay. Now, it's not something that we're here to promote. We're here to talk about.
Yeah, we're just talking about it. Absolutely not promoting anything.
Disclosure, I don't have much experience in it. I know it's out there. It's out there in our community. It's out there in the world. So we got to talk about it. And Marina, as an attorney, like I always say, you have seen, you've heard so much from your clients. So you probably heard more about it and how it affects divorces and relationships. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about open relationships. And let's define, Marina, what the heck is an open relationship for those who don't know?
I mean, it's even difficult to define. You know what I mean? So open relationships can be different, but generally it's where they're non-monogamous. Put it this way.
Okay.
The two people agree that it's okay in certain situations not to be just with each other. And they open their relationship to the possibility of each of them or one of them or one and then the other being with different people. Some people play as couples. They call it playing. And some people call it the lifestyle. I follow like a couple of people just out of curiosity because it's such an interesting concept for me. And I'm not promoting anything. And I'm not saying you should go and get yourself an open relationship. I'm saying it exists out there. It's an interesting topic to talk about. And it makes you question some of the things that society kind of imposes on you, right? And you start to think, okay, are things this way because of my, like society has made me think this way, or are things this way because of my religion, or are things this way because of my culture? Why do I believe what I believe? And it's a good thing to question, because when you question, you kind of come back to your own values and you learn who you are. And that's a good thing. Everyone should know who they are. And if you don't support open relationships, good for you. But if you don't even know what they are and you haven't questioned it or thought about it, how can you know that it's not for you, right?
But I have a question though. I'm a little confused. Swinger lifestyle, is that same as an open relationship, or that's like a subset?
Yes, I think it's the same. I believe it's the same. And swingers are people who go do things as a couple. Now, I personally knew people, like two couples, right? They were like acquaintances of mine, not close friends, but I knew them, who did things together as a couple. They had a rule. And by the way, open relationships means you have to discuss a lot of things and make up ground rules. And you have to almost like sign a contract. Like you don't have to actually sign a contract. They have to agree on the rules of how this works, right? And, for example, certain people will only be okay if, I don't know, the husband, gets, outside relationships. Although that's rare. Usually people agree to do things together. They do things at the same time together, and they share everything with each other. In other words, they tell each other what happened. They are honest about their feelings. It's okay to say you love someone else. They call it dating if they get into one relationship with one other person. For example, the husband is dating somebody else and he's still married to the wife. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
okay, but
Or
what
the
if?
wife is dating somebody while remaining in a marriage with the husband. They continue to be parents. They continue to attend school functions for the kids together and travel together. They're still upholding their relationship and probably
Mhm.
still sleeping with each other while having other people too.
Okay, now I've seen in our community where you don't have like explicit open relationship where it's discussed and known who is doing who and where, but a relationship where, let's say, a wife, she recognizes that her husband is getting some action on the side, but she decides to keep silent and she tells him, look, do what you got to do. Just don't embarrass me. I don't want to
Yeah.
know about it. Don't
That's an
ask, don't
open
tell.
relationship, as
And
far as
same
I'm concerned.
with the guy. Let's say he knows his wife is
Yeah.
stepping out, but he's saying, look, you know what? Just don't bring it home. I don't want to hear about it. Think about it. You do what you do. Just make sure nobody sees it. That's you're saying is also open relationship,
I
but it's
believe
a
so.
category.
I think an open relationship is where there's other people involved other than the husband and wife. I
Mm-hmm.
followed this woman on TikTok. I don't think she's Jewish or Russian. She's not Russian for sure. And she says that they have an open relationship with her husband. She answers a lot of questions from people. People are
Okay.
questioning this left and right. So she says that at times she's dating somebody, he's dating somebody. At
Mm.
times they're hanging out with their other partners together. At times she does her thing, he does his thing. At
Does that
times they
make
don't
their
have
relationship
anyone else.
stronger?
Huh?
Make their relationship stronger. Their
She
own relationship.
claims that it makes their relationship stronger. She
Okay.
claims that it opened doors for her to explore and test her sexuality in ways that a regular monogamous marriage doesn't do for her.
Mm-hmm.
She's tried a woman, she said recently. Like she was always thinking she's straight, but she's tried it and she liked it. And she feels like she has the comfort of knowing her spouse accepts her and loves her as she is, even if she is a polygamous person, openly so. Like, right, she doesn't have to hide that. They love their kids, they love each other, they travel together, they spend a lot of time traveling. Right now, they want to move somewhere from the United States because it looks like it's getting a little tight and uncomfortable for them. Because
Marina,
we are a very conservative country.
I want to ask our viewers to chime in and post their comments on what they think. And the question I want to ask is, let's say you find out your wife is stepping out on you, but it's not with a man, it's with another woman. Does that make a difference for you? Would you tolerate that more than if she steps out or cheats on you with a man? Let's hear from the audience. And Marina, what do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I don't even know. This is a very difficult topic for me personally because I personally do not really. I don't judge people. Like I don't
Right.
think that people have a right to have. I think that as long as both people agree and everybody's okay and nobody's hurting each other, it's okay to do whatever. But I
Okay,
personally never would accept that in my life.
but
I
what are the
think that if
don'ts?
you're not comfortable with your spouse, then you should get divorced and date as many people as you want. But for example, I was seeing someone back in my single days, and it was
Mhm.
a casual relationship. It wasn't like he was my serious boyfriend. He says he got an invitation to some like a swingers club in New Jersey, very exclusive. You have to interview as a couple. You have to
Mhm.
go there, bring your medical letters, show that you're healthy, you're clean, you're not unstable mentally. They do a whole interview with you. You have to become a member first. I think you have to pay a membership, and only then you can get invited to their parties. And I
Mhm.
said, are you out of your mind, boy? Are you crazy? I'm definitely not going.
So it
You
sounds
can
like
do
eyes
whatever
wide
you
shut.
want.
Sounds like eye
Huh?
wide, very fancy, like exclusive eyes wide shut.
And a
kind of
lot
a
of
party.
times these places are for like rich people.
Mhm.
Because if it's not, then it's usually just like some sort of an orgy and everybody goes their ways. But this is an ongoing thing. They have to check health, they have to check your mental stability, they want to see a doctor's letter. There's like a lot to get in, you know? So
Mhm.
that also, but you see, this is like a swinger lifestyle is something you have to do together. And I happen to know somebody who did this for a long time. They seem to be happy until the
I
husband
don't know.
found somebody.
Exactly, Marina. I think that in the long term, I don't think it works. I think,
I also don't think so. I think
look,
it's for
there's a
short term it'll
reason
work.
why in our background, in religion, it is advocated not to have adultery. There is a reason why it is within our ethics, let's say, to stay together monogamous. First of all, possibly for health reasons, right? Because you never know, you can catch something. And second of all, I think that naturally people get jealous when they see their loved one with somebody else, especially being intimate with somebody else. So I think that once the initial excitement wears off, I doubt in the long term it's going to work.
I mean, I think that people. I'll be honest with you, right? I'll be honest with you what I think, without
Mm-hmm.
judging. But I think that it takes a certain type of person to want and like that lifestyle. I don't think that these particular people are very deep, like intellectually. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're more superficial. They're more into like the pleasures of life. They're more into experiences. I am the kind of person, and I think you are, who thinks about everything, who has to
Not
be.
always. Sometimes I'm impulsive. Impulsive. That is one of my
Well,
vices.
you're a
I got to
man. I
admit.
feel like men are more impulsive
Sometimes
generally.
I'm impulsive. Yes.
Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
like I've been in love, you know, and I've been in long-term love relationships that have gone both ways, good and
Mm-hmm.
bad. But when you
Mm-hmm.
love someone, you learn to appreciate different facets of them, right? As you get older, you grow together. And this is the thing: if you have a good, strong, monogamous, loving relationship, you grow together. Yes, you change. Yes, you have health problems. You go through stress at work. You lose loved ones. Parents die. Kids grow up. You're tested by becoming parents. Kids grow up and they become, then different issues come in. They bring in
Mm-hmm.
significant others that you might not like, right? So there's a
Right.
lot going on there. But eventually, you grow old together and you love,
Yep.
and there's
Exactly.
something to be said about that. And there's
Yep.
something to be said about kind of not being impulsive in a relationship, by being like committed, by making a promise and keeping it, by learning how to have fun sexually with the same person if she had a baby, or if she gained weight, or she lost weight, or she has cancer. You know,
Mm-hmm.
how do you like that? Some, like, I don't know, like some things to me in life have to be true and right, like a friendship, like love for your spouse, like love for your
In
parents,
good times and the bad times.
like love for your country, like love. You have to be the kind of person that has values. It's okay to change your mind, but I don't know if this is like something that I would ever want to be a part of. You know what I
But
mean?
Marina, just like if you stop loving your country, you could immigrate to another country.
I mean, I
Same
don't
way
think that we
in
stopped loving
relationship.
our country. You still love Russia, and I love Ukraine, and you know, you just know that it's hard to live there, you know, but you really don't stop loving your country. You still love it, and it's your childhood, it's where you were born, it's your first
Just
language,
one
it's the
correction. For me,
culture.
it's not Russia. It's Soviet Union.
Soviet
Russian
Union, right?
Russian Federation
I mean,
as a
I
state.
used to love Russian culture too, because you know, if you grew up in the Soviet Union, you learn about Russian poetry and Russian, you know, everything. And I don't think that it's right to cancel all that now that there's a
Yep.
war. Yes, I would cancel the government. I agree with the sanctions. I think the sanctions should be worse. Like they should stop buying oil and gas from them. Period. You know. But I don't think that you should cancel the Russian poetry and all that.
Mm.
But I think that open relationships bring with them a whole host of problems. I know people who are long time participants, and then they stop and then could go back to it. I know
Well, let
people
me
who
ask you,
broke
in a
up.
divorce, Marina, in a divorce, have you seen where allegations of open relationship, let's say husband proposed it and wife was not comfortable, she went along with it, but she wasn't comfortable. Could that
A
play
lot of
some kind of
times,
role
a
in
lot
a
of
divorce
times,
proceeding?
frequently the woman would say, he talked me into doing it. I really didn't
Okay,
want to
see,
do this. He
there you go.
convinced me to try. And it's kind of like a
Hmm.
slipping, what is it called? The slippery slope.
Right,
Once
right.
you start and you do this again, then they use that against it. They said, well, you tried and you
Hmm.
liked it last time. Let's do it again.
Hmm.
And then you end up in a place where you never even thought of. You know what I mean? Like emotionally, intellectually, ethically, you go from just trying it and dabbling into it to like it affects you in serious long term ways. I have a friend who, like, he dated this woman, and then she confessed to him that in her former marriage, her and her
Hmm.
husband had an open relationship, and they
Hmm.
used to go do things together. And he stopped dating her after that. He couldn't take that thought, even though it was
See,
years before, and she was already long since divorced, and
right.
time and space had passed. He just couldn't get over the fact that his girlfriend used to participate in that.
Because
And
he's afraid that she's going to start longing for it again and may step out on him.
maybe that's definitely a factor, but
I'm telling you as a man, that's what
probably.
he probably was worried about.
Probably, and also it makes you
That she wants
wonder.
excitement, that
It
she wants
makes you
more
wonder if you
excitement.
know. If you It makes you wonder if you know this person. You think you know them, and then you find something like that out, and I think it changes your uh, opinion of them.
Right.
Why do you like? It's a hard question. Why do you love someone? Right? If somebody says to you, Michael, why do you love so and so, your significant other? Right? You would have to. I mean, it's hard to say why you love them, but part of why you love them is that you think of them in a certain way, that she is the kind of person who is faithful, that she
Yep.
is a monogamous kind of person, that she has the same values as you, the same
Hmm.
maybe background as you, belief system as you. Then you find out that she's kind of saying that, okay, I'll be monogamous now, but I've been known to kind of not be, and that was okay at that time.
Oh,
Then
and
you say,
also,
okay, do I even know her?
if other people know that your wife now, before used to be a swinger, maybe you're going to be concerned about your image, that you are now married to somebody who before used to, run the circuit.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like you become a different kind of person, and not the bad or good, just different. When you
Marina,
go
in your
there, when you have
experience,
those the kinds of experiences, I think it changes you.
people confide in you as an attorney. Wouldn't want to hear the names unless you want to share. But in your in your opinion, what you have seen, what is the percentage of couples that engage in open relationship?
I don't know the statistics. I haven't, like, researched the statistic. I guess I could take a
Just
look
based on
now.
your experience, based on what people tell you,
Some,
if you
you
had to
know,
guess.
of some, remember, I don't know if we talked about it, but remember, I might have mentioned it in another show, that they did a study of people, men and women, and they asked them, if your partner never finds out, would you cheat?
Right?
If
Yep.
your
Yep.
partner guaranteed would never.
It was
And I
huge,
think
huge percentage.
it was
Surprising.
a huge majority of
Huge.
people. So it said that less than 1% of all couples in the United States are in open marriage. Now,
Okay.
20% of couples have experimented with consensual non-monogamy. So a huge percentage,
Wait a
one
second.
fifth,
Wait?
20% have.
What is the difference? What's the difference between
Okay,
1% and
but
20%?
then they stop. They try it and
Uh-huh.
then they don't
Oh,
say like
okay.
that.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Others
Okay.
stay open, right? So it says
Gotcha.
20% have experimented with consensual non-monogamy, but open marriage has a 92% failure rate.
See?
So most
That's
open
exactly what I
marriages
was
end up
talking about.
failing
Exactly.
because I think you end up going against the very basic thing that that people even get married for. People get married to have a guaranteed monogamous relationship. They want to put a lock on it. They want to put a ring on it. There's even a song.
Exactly.
They say, if you
Right.
want it, why don't you put a ring on it? You put
You
a
know what?
ring on it, it's guaranteed only yours. It's
Yeah, and
exclusivity.
maybe people are testing their spouse by saying, "Would you like to go with me to a swingers party?" And it's a test. And if you answer yes, you're done.
Yeah,
So
so
be
I'm
careful.
looking
Be
at
careful
some
what.
other.
So think very, very, very seriously about how to answer that question.
They're saying that the term open marriage was popularized in 1972 by George and Nina O'Neill's book of the same title. They
Okay.
defined it as a practice of a lifestyle choice.
Mhm.
And they said that 1 in 5 people has admitted to dabbling in consensual, non-monogamy.
Mhm.
Now, this says 4 to 9% of American adults engage in some kind of open relationship. It's not a marriage.
Mhm.
So it's hard to say, but it looks like about 4%, actually, not 1%, but 4% have open marriages.
Mhm.
And most open marriages fail. That's the bottom line.
Exactly. So be very, very guarded and think it through. It's a big step. It's a big step. If you take, you can't take it back. So really, really think carefully. It's funny that as we're preparing for this topic, yesterday I saw New York Post an article. There's a new thing out there, a new fad that is catching on quickly called soft swingers. What is soft?
Okay.
Soft
No
swingers.
pun
What
intended.
is, yeah.
No pun intended.
No, there's a pun. There's a pun because soft means they're not going all the way. So they're going to these events, parties where maybe they're going to hug the other party, they may kiss, they might go to other bases, but they're not going to go all the way. And they feel it's more safe in this day and age of STD and AIDS and so on. It is more safe. It's not as intrusive, literally speaking, and it works for many people. But the article did say, be wary, because there are couples that try this and then broke up. Because at the end of the day, they had a great party, they had a great time at the party, but when they come home and they start to rehashing what happened, start thinking, oh, my husband was with this one and he was so interested in her, they get to argue and they break up.
So I think this is something that you and I also had discussed in the past, that people get bored with each other, right? And instead of working on their problems, working on their marriage, maybe going to counseling, maybe just talking to each other,
Right.
they start to go to other people.
Mhm.
And when you have a friend or a party and you go to, meet somebody at a party and you don't have, sex with them, but you talk to them, you kiss them, you touch them, you hold your
Right.
hand, I think it breaks the marriage. I think it breaks the
Mhm.
relationship.
Mhm.
It creates cracks, at least.
Yep,
And those
exactly.
cracks usually get wider with time. It drives like a wedge. Imagine if your marriage is like a piece of wood. It drives a big wedge in your marriage, because I can just imagine, knowing how impressionable I am. And I am. I'm an impressionable
Mhm.
person, a very emotional person. If I were to see my husband kissing some other woman, I would probably want to gouge out his eyes. Maybe tear out his hair. I don't know. I would do something violent.
What about her?
No, you see, I'm not like that. I don't go after the
Okay.
other woman. And I always tell people that you are very mistaken when you get angry at the other person. The other person owes you nothing. The other woman, your husband's mistress, or if you're a man, your wife's boyfriend, they owe you nothing. You don't have a
That's a
relationship with them.
great topic. You know what, Marina? I think that could be a topic of our
That should be
discussion
our next
separately.
show.
Yes, how to deal.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's wrong to. I personally think that you shouldn't get angry at the other people at the swingers party or his girlfriend or mistress. You should have a conversation with your spouse and find out what is it about them that makes them want to date other people, and maybe
Yeah.
you should move on and be married to other people and get divorced and be able to date other people, and that's okay too, right? That's okay.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
the end of the
So
world.
exactly. We have this day and age a mechanism called divorce.
Yeah.
It's legal. It's not always painless, but sometimes it's better to just to rip off the band-aid, go through the process, and move on, and not to
Most of the
not
time
to
after
suffer.
a year or two after the divorce, everyone is happy and happier than they were when they were miserable and going through the divorce and deciding they should get divorced. Most of the time people say to me, it was for the best. I'm happy I did it. I don't even think I've ever spoken to anybody who said, I regret having been divorced. No, people usually don't regret it. They're usually happy because there's a reason why you get divorced. Like if you were considering going into an open type of relationship in a swinging lifestyle, and you're a very traditional conservative person, you should have a conversation with yourself and say, why am I kind of not being true to myself? Why am I doing this? Right? Who am I doing this for? Right? Because you will still have to live with you later, after the divorce, after the fallout, after the swingers party. You're gonna have to go home and be alone with yourself. We all born alone and we die alone. And you will have to look in the mirror and look yourself in the eye. Forget about the other people. If you're doing something that you know when you look yourself in the eye you will regret, don't do it. Nobody's
Exactly.
forcing
You may have a great time at that event. There's alcohol involved, maybe something else. You're chilling. In the end, the party stops. You gotta go home, and you may have
Everyone
regrets.
goes home at the end.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
like there's a song by Gwen Stefani where she goes, "You've cashed all your coupons, and all you got left is me." Like you and your partner are going home together. At the end of the day, it's you and him or you and her. If you can't look them in the eye, if you can't look yourself in the eye, then you shouldn't do it. On the other hand, if you feel comfortable and you want to do this and you really always wanted to try it, but remember that it might cause a big problem in the
In the
marriage.
end, to sum up, we don't judge.
Yeah.
This is out there. You do what's comfortable for you. Just be wary of the consequences and think to yourself, if you're looking to get into open relationship, maybe it's time to end this relationship and move on.
Yeah, and remember, if you
There are
have kids,
mechanisms to do it,
somebody
divorce and
might
so
find
on.
out in the kids' school. If you
Yeah.
have a really good job, like if you're like a higher, level person, God forbid you work like in the finance industry or in some industry where it's, there's licensing involved and all this stuff. This might be part of what people don't consider to be good
Yeah,
moral
this day and
character.
age, what happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas.
Yeah, nothing stays in Vegas.
Everything
And
goes in
social
social
media.
media. You don't know how maybe you're going to get checked in into some swingers party, and before you know it, your job knows, and you're done. Because right now,
Yeah,
because especially big corporations are very conservative, very conservative.
definitely.
You may
And
think this is 21st century, everybody's liberal. No, at big companies, they're super conservative, and they don't want any embarrassment at all. They're going to
yeah, and
fire
they
you
might and they
in
might
a
think of
heartbeat.
you as unstable. If you are the
Yeah.
kind of person, if you work in big corporate or if you work in finance, and you are in the, they call it in the lifestyle, and somebody finds out at work, they
Yeah.
might think of you as not a reliable person, somebody who's unstable, who doesn't have a good moral compass. And if you're dealing with other people's money, if you're investing other people's money, if you're holding
Yeah.
escrow, if you have to be part of a team, people might reconsider their opinions of you. You might not like what I'm telling you, but it's the truth.
That's a good point.
It's not
Okay, on
pleasant to be
this
judged like this, but it's the truth.
on this hard truth, we're gonna for now stop. But guys, we want to hear from you. What do you want us to talk about? Do you have any topics in mind? Anything concerns you, bothers you? Do you want answers? Do you want to chime in? Let us know. Send us topics. Send us your questions to myself, to Marina, and we always want to try to come back with nice, spicy, interesting topics every week, Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Relationship Confidential with Marina Shepelsky and Michael Levitis. Everybody, have a great day. Marina, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Until next time. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.